Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
I'd love to fight Michaela Mayer. I think it'd be a great fight as well. Or Tasha Jonas as well. There's plenty of females out there that got belts that I'd like to fight.
What would you prefer? The fight with Michaela, who's obviously got that American rivalry, if you will, or an all-British domestic clash with Tasha Jonas?
I would love the British domestic clash. And I've got a lot of respect for Tasha as well. So it will be an honour to share the ring with her. And I really would. It would be good to share the ring with Tasha before we both go out.
So this is a part of what made Chantelle's move to Queensbury such a curious move. Why go there? There's nobody over there. The fighters you would want to fight, some of them, they're over at Boxer. I don't have a high opinion of Boxer's ability to promote these fighters, but had Chantelle gone over there instead of Queensbury, she would have been at least closer to a Jonas fight, and even a Mayer fight, than she is now. Because her and Natasha would be fighting under the same banner, on the same platform, and lest we forget, Sky Sports is Top Rank's UK broadcast partner. There's a channel there to do a fight with a top-ranked fighter, have it broadcasted transatlantically on ESPN in America, on Sky in the UK. You see how it works. It's not that I don't want Chantelle to get those fights. It's just a little hard to imagine how she'll get them when, if Michaela's free to fight Chantelle, wouldn't that also mean she's free to fight Natasha? And the same applies to Natasha. If Natasha's free to fight Chantelle, why wouldn't she just fight Michaela again? Them fighting each other is a unification match, but them fighting Chantelle is what? A high risk and a low reward. That's what. Chantelle Cameron is a high risk, low reward opponent for Michaela Mayer, for Natasha Jonas. She's an excellent boxer. Excellent. And that's the problem. She can box your socks off, and she can fight her ass off. She's good. She's good in a lot of areas, though. Without an alphabet title to bring to the table or a boatload of money, it's hard to imagine that Natasha, at her age, is going to take on a fight like that, or Michaela, who's had one or two bad experiences in the UK. Maybe if Chantelle offers to come to the US, Michaela would fight her then. After Michaela Mayer beat Sandy Ryan for the WBO title, she said in plain English she's not going back to the UK. She was out there for 2 years. If Chantelle wants her, she might be the one that has to travel, and it doesn't help that Michaela's the one with the belt. Michaela would be the defending champion. That gives her the leverage. Chantelle might have to travel. Chantelle is fighting this weekend against former WBC junior middleweight champion turned super lightweight contender Patricia Bergould. I like Chantelle to win the fight. This will be Chantelle's second fight of this year. Her second fight. Her first was a rebound fight with Elham Mekhaled, an entertaining match. I think this one will be too. It's going to be fun, and I like Chantelle to win it. Afterwards, that's where it gets murky. I'm not sure what happens. One situation that Chantelle and her team might want to keep an eye on is the Ivana Habazin situation at 147. There's a feeling that Natasha Jonas might be fighting her in her next fight in a unification match of Natasha's IBF and Ivana Habazin's WBC title. There's a feeling that they're working on it, that they're trying, but if they fail, and that fight don't happen, the first order of business for Chantelle is to see about getting Ivana in the ring. See about moving up to welterweight, getting Ivana in the ring, and challenging her for that green belt. If she can get her in the ring, she can beat her. Chantelle can beat Ivana Habazin. October is all but over, and November is all but here. There are only 2 months left in this year, and no official announcement has been made about a Jonas versus Habazin fight. If they're working on it, they haven't finalized it yet. If they're working on it, they're taking their sweet time because they've had ample time to get it done. So maybe what Chantelle needs to do is crash their party. All the belts at 140 are tied up in this Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano rematch, which could turn out to be a trilogy. So if you can't get at a belt at 140, might be time to move up to 147, see about getting Ivana in the ring. It's tough. And if nothing's working out, if nothing at 140 is working out, and nothing at 147 is working out, maybe Chantelle should try 154. Natasha Jonas did, Terry Harper did, and they managed to win belts at junior middleweight. They didn't stay there all that long. But they won belts up there. And if they were able to win belts up there, I think that Chantelle would be able to win a belt up there at junior middleweight, while she waits for the welterweight situation to clear up. That's yet another avenue she should consider. Moving up to 154.
Beyond this weekend.
Beyond the Patricia Bergould fight on Saturday, we'll see what Chantelle and her team decide to do and what opportunities, if any, are afforded to her. In men's heavyweight news, Eddie Hearn has indicated that Anthony Joshua may not be ready in time to take the Daniel Dubois rematch in February and could instead now target Tyson Fury in May. AJ wants revenge, but the only issue is timing. For the rematch to happen in February, training camp will have to start in a couple of weeks. There are always niggles, and he had a few or so physically. It's just a case of whether or not AJ is ready to do that. It would be frustrating if we made the Dubois rematch and Fury won versus Usyk, then we're sitting here going, hang on a minute, we're fighting Dubois, but we could have fought Fury in May for the biggest fight in boxing.
The optics of this are bad. I think they are, and we talked about that.
You just got destroyed by Daniel Dubois, and your priority is to move on to a Fury fight? What kind of confidence would you have going into that fight, having not gotten your lick back with Daniel?
Frank Warren said that he's hearing Anthony Joshua is injured.
And he might be, though no post-fight injuries were reported immediately after the fight, and some time has passed that if he is injured, what's the nature of the injury, and why hasn't it been reported? Because usually, they do report on stuff like this.
David Benavidez's injury after the Vajdik fight, Canelo's injury after the Bivol fight, Lomachenko's injury.
After the Teofimo Lopez fight, we usually hear about stuff like this. If Anthony's injured, what's injured besides his pride?
His ego.
Understand this. If he doesn't avenge that loss to Daniel Dubois moving forward, it's hard to imagine he'll ever be able to throw with any confidence, any conviction, to step into his power shots and go for the kill.
Not if he don't get his lick back.
The latest is, the rematch between Daniel and Anthony is looking unlikely, and thus, Daniel is free to roam, free to move around.
Fight somebody else.
News broke yesterday that the IBF reaffirmed Daniel Dubois can choose his next opponent as a voluntary defense if the Joshua rematch doesn't happen. Full list of contenders in the IBF's top 15 he can fight: Agit Kabayel, Martin Bakole, Zile Zhang, Frankie Sanchez, Efe Ajagba, Filip Pergovic, Derek Chisora, Otto Wallin, Fabio Wardley, Jared Anderson, Guido Vianello, and Justice Huni. Some names are a lot more interesting than others. It's my understanding that a fight between Agit Kabayel and Martin Bakole was ordered to crown Daniel's next mandatory challenger, and I want to see that. I don't get the sense that Daniel will choose to fight either of those fighters, not Agit Kabayel or Martin Bakole.
I mean, not unless Turkey El Sheikh is paying him to do it. Not unless Turkey is paying for it. You see, Martin Bakole, Agit Kabayel, those are high-risk, low-reward opponents. They both are.
Unless somebody's going to offer you a big bag to take them on willingly, as a voluntary, I don't see why Daniel would do that. He's already been in a tough run of fights.
Understand what I'm saying. I'm not advocating against Daniel fighting Martin or fighting Agit. I'm saying I don't think he's going to do that unless somebody offers him a lot of money to do that, because he's already run through a gauntlet.
I mentioned Zhang, Zile Chang, but I don't know that he'd fight Zile Chang either. Not willingly, and not unless somebody offers him a lot of money to do it.
They mentioned Frankie Sanchez and Efe Ajagba, non-factors.
Those guys are non-factors in today's heavyweight division. They mentioned Filip Pergovic, but why would Daniel fight Filip again? That doesn't make any sense. Derek Chisora.
He's coming off that win over Joe Joyce.
Derek Chisora is still a cult favorite in the UK, still sells tickets. Him and Daniel might be worth something. If we're talking about a non-Riyadh season show, just a regular show, a regular Queensbury fight, you could sell Dubois versus Chisora in the UK.
They might do it because Daniel's had a tough run of fights and he's come through them. He's come through them all. The Jarrell Miller fight, the Filip Pergovic fight, the Joshua fight.
He's come through them all. That if he wants to take his foot off the gas, he's earned that, and Derek, for Daniel, would be a lighter touch.
They mentioned Otto Wallin.
Otto has since rebounded off his knockout loss to Anthony Joshua late last year with some guy whose name I can't pronounce. Otto's name is in the running, but I don't really see what would make Otto appealing and attractive as an opponent for Daniel. What does Otto bring to the table? They even mentioned Fabio Wardley. Fabio Wardley, who's run a gauntlet of his own. Unbeaten David Adelaide, unbeaten Frazier Clark. 2 times. You can sell that fight. Both men are riding high right now. Flavio, Daniel, they're doing good. Really good. So I don't know if the timing is right for that fight. They also mentioned America's own Jared Anderson. Top Rank will have really sold their stock in that fighter if they decide to feed him to Daniel after his first professional loss, that crushing defeat to Martin Boccoli. I mean, I don't know.
Cacciatori fettuccine, Guido Vianella.
They mentioned Guido. I wouldn't mind that fight. I wouldn't mind that one. It's a good fight between two big guys, two strong guys. Guido is a well-schooled amateur that flies a bit under the radar.
Lui è forte.
I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that he could fight Guido, but at the same time, I don't see what Guido brings to the table that would make him an enticing and attractive opponent for Daniel.
Mi dispiace, Guido.
They also mentioned Justice Hooney. Justice Hooney's got a fight coming up in his native Australia just to keep busy, fight a little maintenance fight. Same deal, though. I don't see what Justice Hooney brings to the table that would make him stand out to Daniel. What Daniel might need right now, what he might want, is just a little keep busy fight. Just a little maintenance fight, because he's had a tough run of fights, and it might be time to take it easy before the next big one. Consider that after the loss to Usyk, he's thrown in the meat grinder with Jarrell Big Gravy Miller, then Filip Hrgovic, then Anthony Joshua. I don't even know that Daniel's next fight is going to be part of a Riyadh season show. It might not be. So Daniel Dubois has a lot of options, but one in particular seems to have caught most people's attention, and it would be a fight with his Queensberry stablemate, Flavio Wardley. IBF President Daryl Peoples confirmed that Dubois can make an optional defense against any ranked fighter before April 22nd, leaving the door open for a domestic dust-up with Wardley. The Ipswich puncher knocked out Fraser Clark earlier this month to defend his British heavyweight title and is currently ranked number 12 by the IBF. Weighing in on Wardley's last outing, Dubois told Talk Sport, White and Jordan show on Thursday, it was a good performance. He didn't give him a chance to get into it. He took him right out of there. Thus is the heavyweight division a cruel mistress where you're always one punch away from getting knocked out. Doesn't matter what you thought, what you did in camp, you're always one punch away from hitting the deck. He then expressed his willingness to duke it out with Wardley, or any ranked contender for that matter. Bring them all on, all these contenders, he continued. If it makes sense, they can all get a piece. It will be everyone's decision, my dad's, my team, and Frank, to finally get me in there and do the business. But we will all sit down and decide what is next. I can't wait for it. I'm really excited. The story is they want to get Daniel out there in February. Now, I don't know that that necessarily means that he'll be boxing on a Riyadh season show or just a plain old Queensberry show. In truth, right now, Daniel doesn't need to fight in a Riyadh season show to make big money because his stock is up. That's not saying that he can't box at Riyadh season. That's saying that right now he doesn't have to, not to make a big purse. Some fighters have to, like Martin Boccoli, like Agit Kabayel, the outliers, the high-risk, low-reward guys, the guys in the who needs you club. Daniel's not in that club. He's a champion. More importantly, he's a champion who just took out one of the biggest, if not the biggest name in British boxing, Anthony Joshua, and he made it look easy. So he's not limited to boxing on Riyadh season shows for decent-sized purses. He's earned the right to have his pick of the litter. Who is next? I can't wait. Asked if he would prefer the Joshua rematch or a showdown with Wardley next, Dubois replied, whoever I gotta destroy and take out of there, I will do it. I'm on form now, and my confidence is right up there. I'm on top of the world right now, so whoever I've gotta destroy and take out of their misery, we will do it. A fight between Wardley and Dubois would be easy to make. Both men are represented by Queensberry Promotions and have never shied away from a challenge. But to me, it would seem premature to put Flavio in there with Daniel. That's not saying that I'm against the fight. I'm not against the fight. If they want to make it, they can make it, but I'm not convinced they will because it would be counterintuitive. That if Flavio's stock is up right now and Daniel's stock is up right now, that's two avenues for you to make money off two separate fighters that you don't need to feed one to the other. Not yet. It would be big now if they did it. It would be, but it would be even bigger down the line. And come on, You know that's how these promoters and these managers' minds work. They're not going to throw caution to the wind, not completely, when they can build this into yet another British super fight. I would sooner expect Daniel to fight Derek Chisora or Fabio.
He might fight Derek Chisora.
Derek hasn't retired. He's coming off a win in a fight nobody expected him to win, the Joe Joyce fight. And he's still of some use to Queensberry, so you could do Wardley versus Chisora, or Dubois versus Chisora, or Dubois versus Joyce, or Wardley versus Joyce.
Two separate shows that'll make you money.
While you build the super fight between Flavio and Daniel. So long as they stay in the winner's bracket, doing what they're supposed to do and doing the business, you got another super fight on your hands. And it doesn't require you to work with anybody. It doesn't require you to work with Matchroom. It doesn't require you to do it at Riyadh Season for you to turn over a big profit. Queensberry has effectively cornered the market on most of the heavyweight action.
So while I'm not against the fight, if they want to do it, they can do it. I'm not convinced they will, because for them, it would be counterintuitive.
Is Flavio even ready for a fight with Daniel? You have to remember that Flavio doesn't come from some deep amateur background. He comes from white collar.
Daniel Dubois is young. He's very young, but he's noticeably more experienced than Flavio. I think it's safe to say that. He's been in there with Joe Joyce. He's been in there with Usyk.
Kevin Lorena, Philippe Pagovic, Jarrell Miller, Anthony Joshua.
In terms of experience and who has more of it, the fights that you lose count just as much towards your experience as the fights that you win. And Daniel's got more of that.
Flavio has to get more. My honest opinion is it's a great fight, but I don't think it's a fight that Flavio is ready for. Not just yet. I'd put Flavio in there with Derek. I'd put Flavio in there with Joe Joyce.
Build him up a little more.
Didn't take any damage in his last fight. He didn't. It only lasted one round. He took care of Fraser Clark in a hurry.
Valuable experience in the first Fraser Clark fight that went the distance. That really tested Fabio's mettle. And he's made from some tough stuff. He took care of him in a hurry in the rematch.
I think he needs one or two more fights before he's ready for Daniel. I think he needs one or two more fights, maybe even 3.
That's just an observation. If they want to do it sooner than that, they can do it and I'll watch it.
But if I'm to evaluate Flavio's chances against Daniel Dubois, who's becoming even more aggressive, even more confident, even more devastating.
You know, Daniel's got his flaws. He's got his drawbacks. There are still holes there. He still doesn't move his head.
And the caveat of being the guy that's looking for the knockout is you're running the risk of being knocked out by being that aggressive, by being that come forward. So he can be gotten to.
We know he can. We've seen it before.
But Fabio needs more experience. Those eggs need more bacon.